Turn now to a prank call, which is believed to have led to the death of an innocent man in Wichita, Kansas.
Police say a so-called swatting prank led to an officer shooting that unarmed man. And ABC's Ariel Reshef is on the story for us this morning. Good morning to you, Ariel.
Good morning, Paula and Dan. Swatting is when someone falsely reports something like a shooting or a hostage situation. In this case, police now investigating whether a dispute between two online gamers led to that deadly fake call. This morning, a prank call under investigation after police say it led to an innocent man's death.
They were arguing and I shot him in the head and he's not breathing.
In a labored voice, the prankster telling 911 dispatch he shot his father and was holding his family hostage.
The suspect advised he poured gasoline all over the house and he was thinking about lighting it.
Officers rushed to the Wichita, Kansas address given by the caller Thursday night. When they arrived, a 28-year-old identified by his family, Andrew Finch, appeared in the screen door.
Walk this way!
Police body cameras rolling as officers instructed Finch to raise his hands and walk toward them. They say at first he complied, but then moved his hands to his waist. An officer opening fire.
He feared that the male had just pulled a weapon from his waistband, fired one round, striking the male.
Finch's family watching in horror.
My granddaughter, who witnessed the shooting and had to step over her dying uncle's body, that cop murdered my son.
Police confirm Finch was unarmed and was not the one who made that fateful call.
Last evening's officer-involved shooting is a tragic and senseless act.
Police in Los Angeles confirmed overnight they've arrested a 25-year-old man in connection with the swatting call. Authorities tell ABC News the online gaming dispute is part of their investigation, but they're still tracking other leads. The officer who fired those shots was placed on administrative leave pending this investigation. Police said they know that swatting is a trend, but in the case of a 911 call, they always default to believing the caller.
Horrifying story all around, Ariel. Thank you.
Thanks, Ariel. We want to move now to politics.
And a 911 prank call resulted in the shooting death of an unarmed man. Will Carr has the details on this development. Will?
And Jillian, this all stems from a dramatic call authorities in Wichita received on Thursday. The call from an armed man who said one person was dead, that he had hostages, and that he was threatening to burn his house down. The only thing, it was all a hoax called swatting, where people report fake crimes in an effort to get SWAT teams to respond to someone else's house.
I'm just pointing the gun at them, making sure they stay in the closet, my mom and my little brother. Are you guys sending someone over here? Because then I'm definitely not going to put it away.
That was all fake. When authorities arrived on the scene, 28-year-old Andrew Finch, who was unarmed, according to his family, went to the front door trying to figure out what was going on and was shot and killed. Authorities now investigating if this all started from an online video game dispute. Finch's mother, though, says her son didn't even play video games and questions why authorities would open fire simply based on an emergency call.
The incident is a nightmare for everyone involved, including the family and our police department. Due to the actions of a prankster, we have an innocent victim.
We know the Los Angeles Police Department arrested 25-year-old Tyler Barris in connection to the case. We also know there have been other swatting calls across the country and that they're becoming a real challenge for law enforcement agencies. Jillian.
You know, Will, it's the week between Christmas and New Year's, just when we're all feeling, faith in humanity restored. Get a story like this. Thanks a lot, Will.
Very sad.
All right. A hoax leads police to shoot and kill an innocent man at his own front door in an apparent swatting incident. Swatting is when someone makes a prank call about a bogus crime to get SWAT teams to go to someone's house and surprise them. CNN affiliate KABC reports that a man in Los Angeles is under arrest for making the false call to police in Kansas, allegedly telling dispatchers there that he had shot his father, that he was holding his mother and sibling hostage. That sent police to an unrelated address, the whole ordeal ending with an innocent man dead. Polo Sandoval is following this story. Polo, this is confusing and surprising. Explain to us how all of this happened.
Confusing, surprising, and extremely tragic here, Boris, because as you mentioned, this person had no idea, or at least was not the intended subject of this horrible prank here. This 28-year-old man from Wichita, Kansas, now the latest victim of this so-called swatting that you just described here. In this case, a man reportedly in California phoned police in Wichita claiming that he had had some kind of disagreement with his family, had shot his father in the head, was apparently holding his mother and sister at gunpoint. All of this information false, but it was enough to trigger a massive SWAT response that ended in tragedy. Here's a portion of that call that was released by police.
I'm just pointing the gun at them, making sure they stay in the closet, my mom and my little brother.
Okay, is there any way you can put the gun up?
No. Are you guys sending someone over here? Because then I'm definitely not going to put it away.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and stay on the phone with you, okay?
That's fine. Until they get here, or?
As long as you need me to, okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking about, because I already poured gasoline all over the house. I might just set it on fire.
Okay, well, we don't need to do that, okay?
In a little bit, I might.
Working off of this information, police officers responded to that address and encountered 28-year-old Andrew Finch, the man that you see in this photograph there in that black hoodie. They encountered him in the hallway, and apparently he made a sudden move towards his waistband, and that's what prompted police officers to shoot and kill him. The deputy police chief in this, Boris, calling this tragic and senseless swatting, something that authorities have known about for years. And now this is the latest victim in this horrible kind of pranking.
Senseless, perhaps the best way to describe it. Polo Sandoval, thank you so much for the reporting. Joining us now to discuss this deadly swatting prank is Charles Ramsey. He's a CNN law enforcement analyst, also former Philadelphia police commissioner and former chief of police of Washington, D.C. Sir, thanks so much for joining us. This isn't the first time that we've reported on this sort of prank. It's been done to celebrities in the past, but is this the first time that you've heard of someone dying because of swatting?
Well, it's the first time I've heard of someone actually dying, but it just goes to point out just how dangerous this practice is. It's not a joke. It's not a prank. Now, here's an individual who's totally innocent that lost his life because some clown in California decided to somehow trick the police in believing that these crimes had taken place, got a massive response to this individual's home, who opened the door and I'm sure was probably shocked and surprised to see all these cops around. And the end result, of course, was a tragic loss of life. Hopefully, the individual who is in custody in Los Angeles is charged with the most serious crimes he can be charged with in this case.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about that. What is the legal liability for setting off this kind of prank? Anything come to mind when you think of possible charges for this person?
Well, I mean, I'm not an attorney and I'm not familiar with California or Kansas law, but certainly the recklessness of the actions, involuntary manslaughter, or manslaughter, one of the different levels of manslaughter, certainly in my mind would be appropriate. So whatever it is he can be charged with, beyond just making a false call to police, he ought to be charged with it. And a message ought to be very clear for anyone who decides to do something like this. Not only can it cause tragic consequences like we saw in Kansas, but imagine what happens when you have such a massive police response that is really not called for, and then some other event takes place in another part of the city and police aren't available to respond. There is absolutely no good that can come from someone doing something as stupid as this, and now we've got a man who is dead as a result. A father, a son, a husband. It just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, perhaps the most unsettling part is that it was an unrelated, seemingly random address, so it could have happened to anybody. Charles Ramsey, thank you so much for the time, sir. I hope you have a happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back in the CNN Newsroom.